Breaker TV.
You are watching the first and longest running new media broadcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Welcome to Game Breakers The Republic. You will never need to listen to any other Old Republic podcast ever again. Oh, who were they kidding? They're just a bunch of nerds geeking out about the Old Republic on the internet. But here's your host, back from fixing the units on the South Ridge by midday. It's Larry Everett.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Everett, and you are watching the 201st episode of The Republic, and today is March 5th, Thursday, and Star Wars The Old Republic has canceled the thing we talked about last week, the ESL speedrun. We also have 3.1.1 that hit the test center, and and they canceled the PAX Cantina, which was supposed to happen tomorrow. So it's all about cancellations today, but first let me introduce my hosts. I have with me from the Utini cast and also from his Twitch channel R3DN4, Redna. How's it going?
Hey.
And then I also have from her blog, Zamzam Says, and from, everywhere else on Twitter, it's Rachel. How's it going?
Hello, I'm good, thanks.
So, wow. How was everybody's week in Tor? I know I actually did not get to spend a lot of time in Tor this week. We all I know we had the GRE event last week. Did you guys participate in that again? You guys did?
I did.
Did you find the Xenoanalyst a little bit more difficult this time around, or was it just like whatever? Or did you guys?
We one-shot hard mode. 16 no issues, so it's not a big deal for
I think it was just my group, because my group was just, usually we didn't have to get to the Rancor. Usually in hard mode, prior to level 60, we'd always just bypass it. We'd kill him before the Rancor appeared, and then the Rancor just threw us. We didn't actually know what to do with the Rancor. It kind of
What's a Rancor? What is this?
The Xenoanalyst in the GRE event, he's like I guess a world boss. It's like an operations boss. It's like a single boss at the GRE event in the ship. It takes, you can go up to 8 or 16 people. It just like an operation, and
well, no, I've done Xenoanalyst.
Yeah.
I've just never seen a Rancor in there.
Yeah,
that's one of the ads phases. Towards the end, the Rancor can come up.
Yeah, so they have
that's cool.
they
in
have
hard mode only, though.
Right. It's only in hard mode only, and it's like the third set of ads, if you will, that pops up is a Rancor, and we'd always just downed him before we got to the Rancor, and I guess I'm not sure what, there was some sort of mechanic that had changed from this time around to from the last time, that required that we actually got to the Rancor this time, and that threw us off, and we were totally just like, the Rancor like one-shot our tanks. We weren't ready for that at all. So anyway, yeah, it was it was interesting. Other than that, I didn't really participate in it this time around. And people just kind of since we're talking about it, are we just kind of burnt out on the GRE event, or is this still something that you guys do on a regular basis? Or
I was totally psyched to see it back. It had been long enough that I really wanted it, but I wanted the offhands. So.
You want? Oh, that's right. Because
that's the thing. Yeah, you got to do it for get more of helixes for the offhands.
Which I had already gotten. Actually, how did I get that? I've forgotten how. I got an offhand from something else, and I really was. I play well. Actually, Marauder, I just had 2 main hands. Right, that's all I needed. It just the same equipment. But for my Juggernaut, I got an offhand from something else, and you don't ever see that offhand, so that's not really that big a deal. I guess that's why it wasn't really that big a deal to me. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I was just wanting them because of the legacy transferable. After 12
Right.
times XP, I've got every single advanced class. So
Right. Well,
Yeah.
isn't there another legacy though offhand? Because I recall being able to switch offhand stuff.
depends.
It
The like
depends
you
on-
can get like the dual wielding blasters you can get through the Kingpin. There are a few that were events, one-off things, at least to date. But the Grease the only consistent place where you can get them that I know
Yeah,
of.
exactly. Isn't the legacy stuff of the Rackle event though as well? I think
Maybe that's what it
the
was.
Ugly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That could be a fairly done
Yeah,
interpretation of Rackle.
I always said I'd always change.
Yeah.
I knew I was using something to switch between the characters that had like my Juggernaut, for instance, my Juggernaut and my Warrior. I was able to switch the stuff, but I'd totally forgotten what it was, because I don't do it very often. But anyway, today's stories, a little bit of a downer. Actually, the whole show, unfortunately, is going to be a little bit of a downer for everybody, just to set everybody up for that one. BioWare canceled its the speedrun tournament that it was going to have with ESL, in conjunction with ESL, the Electronic Sports League, and the reason being that Eric Musco said on the forums was bugs. In fact, I'll read what he said. He said, "We spent a lot of time this week testing bug fixes to see how viable the fixed version would be in a speedrunning environment. We have applied improvements to the Cortani encounter as of tomorrow's patch," which was last Tuesday. But there are still situations that could impact players focused on a timed run. Now, as far as we know, generally speaking, the bug where Cortani would not go to the shuttle was relatively fixed. I heard some people saying that it still happened, although it hadn't happened to my group since not last patch, but the previous patch before that. And then we also know that there is a bug with the door as well. Sometimes the door doesn't show up and then can cause subsequent bugs after that. So, and my personal thought, and I wrote about this on Hyperspace Beacon this week, is I personally think that the door was the big factor here, because not because it's necessarily game breaking in the sense that it's going to just completely stop you from being able to complete the encounter, but because we're talking about a timed run here. If the door pops for some people but not for others, the ones without the door are going to have a greater going to have at least like 5 seconds over anybody else that runs it, because the people that are running through there that have the door are going to have to, if they obviously they're not going to watch the whole cutscene if you're in a speed run, but you definitely have to spacebar through it. So I get Rachel, you're nodding your head. Are you in agreement with this? I mean, what's your take on the whole situation?
Yeah, the majority of times I did Karatani with my guildies, we'd always come across a bug of some kind, and it was usually associated with that door, like not being there. But I think, like, when I found out that they cancelled it, I laughed, because, you know.
Ironically, I'm assuming that's you're laughing ironically about that, right?
Yeah, they came so close to, you know, like, having this really cool thing to hype their game and get more people playing the game, and then they can't fix Koratani up still. It's just kind of sad, but funny at the same time. In a way.
Red, do you think that, I mean, what is this, their inability to fix this? I know you're generally positive about the game as a whole, but what do you think this is indicative of, and why do you think that it just wasn't something that they could fix?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's why they were so late canceling it, you know, because this was very last minute that they even canceled it, and we were all just waiting for the rules, like with bated breath. Of course, we were excited. ESL, BioWare, Star Wars, heck yeah. But I would assume that they couldn't get it fixed. I don't know the details behind it. What I've been wrestling with is this better? Is the community going to be happier with this? Because what we've seen really since the beginning of the year is kind of a diametric shift. Ever since the last big exploit problem, BioWare now is canceling things if they're not ready. They're delaying, they're canceling, if it's not ready, they're not doing it. And of course now everybody's upset because it's getting delayed or canceled or whatever, which is better. Like having it released and it is going to be buggy and cause problems or whatever. I would expect, since this was their first adventure with ESL, they wanted it to be smooth. They couldn't guarantee it, and they didn't want that getting broadcast to people that probably didn't watch the game and wouldn't understand why they're watching a buggy encounter.
Yeah, I think that it's they were kind of in a bad situation if you think about it. I mean, you can't go into you just absolutely can't go into a competition like this with a buggy encounter. That would look horrible on you. But at the same time, they had already announced it. They had already said, "Hey, we're going to do this thing with ESL." Which is huge. Really, this was, as far as the public scope was concerned, this was probably the biggest thing since launch, or it could have been.
Oh yeah, biggest marketing opportunity that they've had and taken initiative on. None of us saw it coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
No, I was shocked when they first announced it.
Yeah, I mean, what
the last thing I expected from SWTOR.
So here's because I think there is a possibility. I kind of want to do a little bit of speculation here regarding this situation. Is because it's a possibility that we might be able to see something like this again. Hopefully it doesn't blow their chances with ESL. I don't think it will. I mean, it is BioWare. We are talking EA and BioWare, so we are talking a big corporation here dealing with ESL. So we'll likely see something like this again, hopefully. What could come out of this? How can this be salvaged? What kind of things do you think we'll be able to see in the future? Let me throw that to Rachel. What kind of stuff would you like to see if you come with esports and those kinds of things from BioWare, from SWTOR?
I'd like to see a Hubble League, actually. I know we talked about this when I was on Torcast the other day, how they could do it. Like, they could do it, set it up on the PTS and just make the only Warzone you get Hubble, and then just have leagues like that. But the only problem with that is there's a lack of spectator mode, but I don't know if you really need that or not. Or maybe that's something they could look into doing, adding a spectator mode to Hubble, because that would be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's really interesting because another game that came out just a couple weeks ago, Evolve, which is a multiplayer game. You know, it's a 4v1 kind of situation put out by 2K. They are introducing a spectator mode to their game, so that tells me they're looking to do esports out of their game. So yes, spectator mode is almost a necessity, I think, for PvP to be spectator, to go into ESL or anything like that. And what do you think, Red? What can they salvage this situation? Can they make it better? What do you think we'll see from TOR on as far as the esports is concerned?
I guess that's what I'm most hoping, is that they'll still do something with ESL. The fact that they've even entered into negotiations or talks or whatever with them just was so mind-boggling to me that, you know, I knew a lot of people were disappointed that it was some Operation Speedruns, but that's fine. That's where it starts, with real-world prizes. So yeah, I really do hope they revisit the idea and find something that they do think works. And I've said since day one, I mean, years, I want to be able to sit in the stands of a hutball match and watch the match. Mm-hmm. Like, and if they could incorporate a spectator mode where I could actually be in the stands, you know, that would be awesome.
Tenebris in the chat here is saying that they fixed the issues And then he's also, and then they can do speed runs similar to the way Guild Wars 2 does them, which is, yeah, that makes sense. But he also mentions arenas right now, and I got some flack by saying that I think that that PvP is balanced overall, and more balanced than it ever has been, I believe. But that being said, that doesn't mean that there aren't classes that completely stand out in arena, which in this case, your assassins or your shadows are absolutely dominating arena PvP. Can they do that? Can they? I mean, can they run esports with that kind of lead on certain classes? Obviously, Rachel, I'm turning to you. You don't think they can. What are your thoughts behind that?
I don't think so. Not with arenas, no. That's just, you'd have, the meta with ranked at the moment is assassins, power techs. You know, it's very limited to select classes. Like, there's classes that, you know, don't work very well in the arena environment. I think they'd have to do a lot more balancing before they could ever do an arena tournament. I don't think at the moment, as it stands, it's not good at the moment.
Do you think
arenas anyway?
Do you think it's possible now? I know that there are some fixes going in for Sorks as far as their balancing is concerned. I know that some PvPers are saying that no, these are not the right balances that they need. But do you think that if we did something if they did something more akin to some of the 8-man stuff like Hutball or something along that line, do you think that could possibly balance things out, or do you think it's just so imbalanced that wouldn't even fix it?
I think actually Hutball would probably work, because at the moment, like, every class has something as a utility or an ability that they can bring to the table in Hutball. Has an advantage, so that could work better, I think, than an arena. It's just a completely different environment.
Yeah, that was kind of. What are your thoughts, Red? Are you on board with that, or what are your thoughts about esports? Can they jump in with Hutball? I mean, obviously we can't do arenas because everybody will be an assassin or a shadow. But what about one of the eight?
I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, I think that if they were going to do that, we've already seen that they're doing frequent class balance changes, though not always for PvP. They need to get the balance closer before they really get much closer. 8v8s are definitely, there's a lot more opportunity for a larger meta and for classes that are totally unfavored in arenas to actually have utilization and a point, but that's kind of the nature of objective-based PvP as well. In the arenas, I mean, I feel like for an ESL-type tournament, the arena is probably more suited for it, especially as a viewer, because you don't have an entire map. I mean, they would have to put the technical implementation that they would have to do in order to create some environment that they could at least stream it or show it and have it transitioning from character to character and showing different parts of the maps where the action really is, because otherwise you've got a streamer who it's his job to hold a node, and gee, that's a lot of fun to just watch that guy standing there forever, you know, or a Hutball match, you know, it's like, okay, I'm a gunslinger and so I'm going to sit up in the middle and rain death from above, but if they're not even trying to hold the middle because they're all chasing the ball, but I need to stay there in case somebody scores so that I can grab the ball. There's a lot of technical stuff that would go into them having an ESL sports PvP environment, which they could do. And I mean, if they did it, they would need to give a lot more warning, pre-warning, because get a lot more people in here interested, engaged, max level, geared out, you know, training. I've always felt that actually the class imbalances themselves are also amplified because there aren't enough people that are even in there on the competitive level to try and find solutions to those classes that people feel are totally broken, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point too, yeah.
So, I mean, I think it would be very, very healthy for the PvP, and it would be excellent, but I think there's a lot more work than doing speedruns.
Yeah, and so pretty much we're looking at, and this is I'm in kind of in agreement as well, that the best thing for BioWare to do, as far as any kind of competitive gaming at all, is focus on PvE and do speed run kind of things, because at the moment when you do player versus player, direct player versus player, you run into balance issues that have just frankly not been fixed ever. I know some people are saying that
In
it's
a lot of ways,
yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people were saying that before 3.0 it was a little more balanced than it was after 3.0, and I mean, I kind of disagree with that because I'm looking from a
It
healing.
just depends on what you're looking at, right? As a healer, there was no balance.
Exactly.
It was scoundrel or go home.
Exactly. Yeah, that was kind of the thing. So that I didn't. Yeah. So at any rate, yeah. So, and I've been kind of saying this for quite a while, and is that they need to focus on PvE. They do PvE well. It's not 100% perfect, and obviously they need to spend more time on it, polishing it before they release certain things, like the Cortani fight. Seriously, how did you even get that past test center? But at any rate, I mean, I think that that's where they need to focus, because they've been doing that well for a while, and timed runs. But speaking of that, though, there is a community-led speedrun, and it's done by Death by Smiley. You can go on the forums. Actually, I don't. Can I put a link in here? How do I put a link? I'm going to throw a link to the thread in chat. Chat will wonder for a little bit why there's this link in there, but I'm going to toss that in there. And that, what do you think of this? This is kind of a cool thing, because BioWare can't do it, but these guys can. Rachel, have you looked over this? Have you looked into this as what's going on?
I haven't really looked at it, no. My guild was originally just going to do the other official one for laughs. We weren't really going to get into it much, but I wanted to try and get them to it. Yeah, I think it's great that you've got the community has tapped onto this idea and they're trying to doing their own thing. So I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed that they're doing it as well. They also the fastest time, it's little things. I mean, the fastest time wins a hypergate for your guild. There are the rules. I think are okay. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit concerned about one of the rules that they have in here. I was looking for it. This is why I started just a little bit. It's right here. It says operations will be run as is, bugs and all. Now, may the force and our Jesus be with you. Which okay, so in the speed running world, anybody that does any kind of speed running on like single player games and whatnot, when it's done competitively and that sort of thing, is that the bugs are kind of accepted. Like it's understood that those bugs exist, and if you can take advantage of those bugs during a speed run, then they count and they're totally legitimate. So I actually I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, for one, I mean, I want BioWare to fix these bugs. If they're going to do a speed run, if they're going to make things look good, make it look good, But at the same time, though, bugs are kind of embraced within the speedrunning community. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Red? I mean, do you think this is a cool idea to embrace the bugs, or should this kind of thing be maybe you should start over if you can't, or whatever? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think if they're going to be partnering with ESL for the first time, then they probably do want to get it right without bugs. But it's true. I mean, there's streamers that they just love to watch people go through things as fast as possible, and sometimes it comes down to that, RNG moment. Is he going to be able to take advantage of the exploit or the bug or whatever, and does it work in his favor, and it's like, oh my gosh, you pull it off, I don't totally understand it myself, but I understand some people just really get into the nuance of that, and yeah, you embrace the problems and see who can work around it and get RNG to work in their favor.
Yeah. And this isn't hacking or anything like that. I mean, I know some people when talking about speed runs and things along that line. And I know it usually doesn't apply to the MMO community because hacking is that looks bad on the MMO player. But in certain cases with speed runs, you can actually use hacks on when it's single player games. But no, this is this kind of RNG, this kind of bugs and stuff like that are things that are innate in the game, and if you can take advantage of them, then you do wall. It's called wall hacking. When you just go through the wall, even if you don't use a third-party program. But at any rate, I think, I think that it's really cool that the community has taken a hold of this and kind of embraced this whole idea that, hey, you know what? If BioWare is not going to do it, then we'll do it. And I kind of wish, and I don't know the implications of it on BioWare's side, but I kind of wish that BioWare could embrace this as well. Fully, you know what? We're going to give out the prizes. They're in-game items, right? Why can't BioWare give away the prizes?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Rachel?
It would be nice to see them. I mean, if they actually do want to do an ESL.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if they do want to do an ESL type project and they're not ready to do it in partnership with them, then why not have in-game prizes and little tournaments, I guess you would call it, that prep the community for when they actually can get something to work with ESL. At least let people practice, give them some incentive. Because I mean, a lot of us wanted to do it for the lulz, but now that we know it's on the horizon, maybe people could actually train and prepare for it.
Well, that's the other thing is did they give enough preparation time? I know, Rachel, you said that your guild was just going to do it for the lulz, but is one of the reasons that they weren't doing it seriously is because there just wasn't enough prep time for it? Or, I mean, what do you think as far as... They gave us a week, right? Was that long enough?
Yeah, that was... I think that was a bit too short notice because, there's more hardcore people that would like to go through and try different compositions and try out different strats, and that doesn't allow for much time for that, I don't think. And also with the whole lockout system they've got, you wouldn't be able to do much practice anyway. So, yeah, that doesn't work either.
Yeah, no, that's a real tough thing as well. I mean, I guess the thing that you could do is if they put it up onto the test server, then you could just keep copying the same character over and over every time you cleared it,
Oh, yeah.
It's true. It's true.
And maybe then they could even find out what the bug is as everybody keeps running up against it and fix it. But I like the idea, and maybe Buzz mentions in the chat room that Snave was given prizes for his people tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Maybe the people doing this speedrun organization just need to reach out to BioWare customer, their community management team, and
absolutely. I know that, and I don't want to. I shouldn't give the impression that I think that the community team is failing in any stretch of the imagination as far as this community driven event is run, because I mean, for all I know, these guys hadn't reached out to the community team at all. So and if they haven't, I encourage them to do that, because I mean, I've done silly events, like silly kind of in terms of gameplay is concerned. I've done like role play events where we gave away prizes that were given to me by the community team. The community team said, here, I think it was Tonfon codes or something along that line. They said, here, have some. And so, yeah, and I encourage you, if you guys that are running this event, talk to the community team. I wouldn't be surprised if they would do something.
Well, and I guess the one thing I would like to see them do is at least tell us what the rules were that they were going to have, if it had been working, so that we could actually even organize around that. Because, frankly, anything that the community does to generate excitement and better community, of course the community team is going to support it, so maybe support us in preparing properly. I would really, really like to know what those rules were going to be, because it did sound really interesting.
Yeah, and if you do talk to the community team, email Tate, because he answers his email. I'm just dogging on Musco just a little bit. I apologize. All right. Well, so anyway, I gave a link. Let me give a link again here in chat. and I'll put it in the show notes so everybody that's watching the show afterwards can see it. Just so you guys can, I can't go over all the rules and all the stipulations on this show. That would be the whole show, just me reading everything. So I'm not gonna do that, because why would I invite two other people? The last thing I want to talk about is another little bit of a downer as well, but which kind of surprised me a little bit, not because of what it was, but because of the timing around it. BioWare Austin had canceled their PAX East Cantina for Star Wars: The Old Republic that was supposed to be in Boston tomorrow on Friday. They were going. I'm assuming it was on Friday because they usually have it on Friday nights in PAX, and they canceled it because of what was it for? Weather. Hold on, let me pull. This was weird to me. This was okay, and it's not okay. I know that Boston is having weird weather right now, but this was 2 weeks ago. Almost. It was almost 2 weeks ago, right? The 20th. That was. Yeah, that was almost.
It was 2 weeks before they were supposed to do it.
It was 2 weeks before they were supposed to do it, and he says, This is what it reads. It says, "Unfortunately, I'm here to deliver some bad news. Due to the crazy weather in the Northeast has been getting hit with, we are going to cancel our Boston Cantina event." What? Apparently they can read the future, but here's the other crazy thing, and I'm gonna throw this out to you guys before I ask questions here. Is BioWare in and of itself, though, is still going to be there. So the BioWare base is going to be there, just like they were at PAX South. BioWare base was at PAX South. They have a whole slew of stuff that they're doing on Friday and Saturday, all 3 days actually. In fact, I'm reading over it. It's the BioWare base runs something from the beginning of the show to the end every single hour. It doesn't stop. So
yeah, and I love on their announcement page they say, "For our Edmonton developers, the ice of Boston may actually be a vacation." Like, are they poking fun at the Austin devs? Like, whoa.
I don't know. Maybe that's really kind of crazy. I don't. I know that by the Edmonton team and the Austin team run separate from each other. They don't exactly do things together. So, but I still think it's kind of funny that here's yet another cancellation. It's just, in fact, I think it was May that said it. Whenever Rachel was on May's show, May said that's all they've done this year is cancel stuff. Although that's not exactly true, but I mean it kind of is. That's kind of what most of their announcements have been. Hey, by the way, we're canceling Shadow Realms. Oh, by the way, we're canceling the Cantina. Oh, by the way, we're canceling this. I don't know. Is this leaving? It is a little bit with me, leaving a little bit of a taint on my perception of what's happening over there at BioWare. Is that bugging you at all, Red? Or you're the positive one?
I mean, you know me, I'm always a little bugged, but fortunately I'm having a hell of a lot of fun in the game. So, yeah, it's worrisome. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, I don't know. These were things extraneous to the actual development of the game, and hopefully we don't see anything within the game being slowed down or delayed, like has been the pattern for the past 3 years.
Yeah, now is this going to this can't be indicative of what we're going to see as far as the community is concerned in the future. I mean, we're still going to keep, they're still going to have a cantina well, I don't know. Are they going to go to Gamescom this year? Did they announce that or anything? They'll probably go. They'll definitely go to PAX Prime, which
They're going to be at the Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah,
oh, and
Star Wars
Celebration. That was the
Celebration,
next
yeah.
thing. I was like, oh, there's
Yeah,
something
they're
right
gonna
before
be
that.
there.
They are still going to be there, right? They hadn't canceled that. That's in Anaheim, guys.
If
It's
they
not.
cancel
It's
that,
not going
would
to
be the biggest fail like of the century.
That's right. It's not
I
going
don't
to
think you could do
snow.
much worse if Star Wars doesn't show up at Star Wars.
It's not going to snow
That
there,
would be-
guys. You'll be fine. It's California. It's like going to be 70, 80 degrees. You're going to be great.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll say no. It's not humid enough. We got to go home.
Yeah, and May in chat room is saying that, but they're not doing anything at Celebration. Did they say they weren't doing anything, or they just?
I thought they were doing a cantina. I mean, I don't think they have anything set up like a panel or anything,
They-
which is ironic because there's a bunch of Star
certainly
Wars.
should.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they even at this celebration they actually even have panels for fan podcaster groups where they actually get to go and do panels as podcasters of the community. You know, it would be really nice to see a video game representation, but I don't think they have anything planned there.
yeah. I mean, most actually, I gotta be honest though. I think that most of what Celebration is going to be about is going to be about Force Awakens. Yeah, and it's going to be, and possibly, honestly, we're going a little bit off track here, but I think that they're going to start revealing everything, kind of the way that Marvel has in the past. They're going to start revealing the next movies and like the speculated Han Solo movie, the Boba Fett movie, those kinds of things. And also, obviously, Force Awakens and those kinds. They're going to talk more about that. So that is pretty much it. I'm trying to think of how in the world can we end this at all on some sort of positive note, because it's been a little bit of a downer. I mean, okay, so what do we think of? Let's talk a little bit about 3.1.1, which let me pull up patch notes. I didn't have that in front of me. Sorry about that, guys. Do we think that the change, because I know they're changing Marauder. Gosh, I don't know where it went. We're professionals here. Totally professionals. Test center. No, that's not it. Patch notes. That's not it either. I'm good. But I know some things are changing to Marauder. And this is my class, Marauders, and I am horribly disappointed in the changes that are coming to 3.1.1 because they're not. I mean, okay, so the only thing that really, and maybe somebody in the chat room can help me, can point out something to me that I did not see. But I noticed the only thing that is really kind of cool, that is helpful to the Marauder, is Undying Rage, which is... I'm forgetting what it is on the Republic side. It's like something about the Force. And that has no health cost anymore, which is... I think if this was introduced, let's say in 2 whatever the latest 2-point patch was, then it would have overpowered the Marauder. However, now with the Marauders being a little bit weaker as far as DPS is concerned, that maybe this makes them a little bit more viable in a PvP situation. I mean, what do you think? How's your experience been against Marauders and Sentinels now? Have you noticed a downturn as far as what they're able to output, or have you played Red? You play every class. What do you think of the Sentinel and the Marauder now? Guarded by the Force.
I haven't played it enough. It looks like they're giving them some survivability options, which is certainly excellent. I didn't see any damage increases, and from everything I've been hearing from everyone else, they're kind of hurting for damage, even in PvE.
Yes, especially for me, especially in PvE. In fact, I have to unfortunately admit something. I had to switch classes for PvE. I'm not running my Marauder anymore, even though I was getting closer. So here's, and I'm gonna go on a tangent here probably because I can talk all day about this, but what I ran into was that I was able to match DPS, generally speaking, with my group. I was, second or third usually. I wasn't usually top DPS as far as my group is concerned, but I was usually, second or third, sometimes fourth, depending on the match. But the thing was, I had to work like what felt like twice as hard in order to hit that DPS goal. Whereas on my Juggernaut, I'm just slamming my fist against the keyboard, and I get about the same numbers. How do you feel about that kind of thing when you run into a class that's more work? Do you think that there should be better DPS if it takes more work to get to actually go through your rotation, or what's your thought? Actually, either one of you. No thoughts at all.
I don't think the complexity of the class should really have any bearing on the top end of what they're able to do. It might be harder, but I mean that's the fun of playing some classes, is that they're harder, but you can still pull it off.
So I get it. I mean, I do, and one of the reasons why I liked Marauder was because it was so complex. Because it was there was so much stuff to do. So and you could vary some things as you're doing it. But it just seemed like too much work, especially whenever I was having to be extraordinarily tight with my rotation, and at the same time worry about like boss mechanics at the same, bugged boss mechanics on top of that.
Well, and it's a different conversation too. I mean, when you're talking about PvE and you've got mechanics, and it's hard to design, apparently anyway, operations bosses that are friendlier to melee than to ranged. I mean, there are inherent difficulties to any class based off of core differences. But if you're just talking about the buttons you're pushing, as long as you have the same amount of time on boss as everybody else, you should be able to be doing the same amount of damage. And actually, by their express statement, they want them melee to be designed to be doing a little more than the ranged, although it doesn't always play out that way.
Yeah.
Well, but that's why they keep doing the class balance changes. And honestly, it's hard for me to say when I look at class balance changes whether or not I like them, because frankly, empirically, you can analyze it all you want, but until you get it in the game, and put it in the player's hands, I don't know what is really going to end up happening.
Sure. Where do you stand, Rachel? Are you happy with any of the upcoming changes? Because we have 3.1.2 that just that is now on the PTS. Anything outstanding as far as the changes are concerned?
Well, nothing really stood out to me because I made Commando Mercenary heals, so there's that. But yeah. I was just thinking, I used to play, I mained a Sentinel pre 2.0. I used to raid with one, and I used to have a lot of fun, but then I just got over being melee, and I much prefer to heal now when I raid and PvP, so yeah, I know there's a couple of Sentinels still out there, even now, that can give me trouble. There's still good Sentinels out there, and Marauders out there, but otherwise, yeah, most of the time they're just a fly buzzing around me and annoying me. So
I think that's kind of the Sentinel Marauder job is to be a bug. That was always kind of my job in PvP, because I mean I could never do the damage that some of the other guys that were Sentinels and Marauders could do for some reason. Oh, well, I was also was Annihilation spec, so that was probably part of the reason why I couldn't output the same amount of damage. But I would always go after the healer and just stay on them, and even because I figured, hey, if they're having to heal themselves, they're not healing everybody else. Anyway,
reportedly, the Commandos are next up, and they're going to be giving some more survivability for PvP. So I'm very curious to see where that's coming in, especially because I had Commando heal too.
Oh, that's right. How did I get 2 Commando healers, and I'm the only Imperial here? What's up with that?
Oh, I play both factions equally.
Okay,
so,
all right, good. Yeah. At least I have somebody sort of on my side.
Actually, my Max, my PvP main, and my Commando is my PvE main at the moment, even though I have Legacy gear they share, so yeah,
All right.
that's just the way it worked out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to hear more about Rachel's Merc and Commando, you can go to Twitter and catch her at Rach_games, and you can there we go, get a little music going on here. And you can also go to zamzamsays.wordpress.com to catch her blog. Definitely check that out. She writes some really I'm enjoying your blog quite a bit. I've been
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I've been reading it off and on, and it's personal and insightful, and everybody should be reading it. So, and also for Red, catch his Twitch stream at twitch.tv/R3DN4. You can also catch him on Twitter at the same address, R3DN4. And UtiniCast is on utinicast.com. You can catch him there as well. If you'd like to see more of what I'm doing, I am on, I don't have the screen up right now, I'm on hyperspacebeacon.com. You can also catch me on Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE. I also write the Hyperspace Beacon on massively_overpowered.com or massivelyop.com, either one. And the last thing, I am on Gamebreaker every day, writing about games for them and other stuff. And I'm also here every Thursday night at 6:30 PST. Thanks again to both Rachel and Redna for coming on the show, and thank you, chat room, for showing up. And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.